Susan.
Live from Quitman Street School, Newark, New Jersey, WBGO brings you the dedication of a tablet in honor of Dr. Timothy Still by the Schoolmen's Club of Newark, New Jersey. Walter L. Santner speaking. Here is Dr. Elias Levinson, the chairman of the Tablet Committee.
Members of the Still family, distinguished guests, members and friends of the Schoolmen's Club, teachers and boys and girls of Quitman School seated before us, teachers and boys and girls of the schools listening to this program over WBGO. It is my privilege as chairman of the Tablet Committee of the Schoolmen's Club to preside over these exercises this afternoon. We are assembled to dedicate a memorial plaque to Dr. Timothy Still, who joins those illustrious individuals whose contributions to our city and our nation have been commemorated by similar tablets erected by the Schoolmen's Club during the past 59 years. Our program begins with an invocation delivered by Reverend Ralph L. Stevens, Director of the Urban Ministry of the United Methodist Church of Newark. The invocation will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and the singing of the national anthem. Reverend Stevens.
Let us pray. Eternal God, as we assemble here this afternoon to dedicate this memorial plaque to the memory of a great man, may his life serve as an inspiration to all, and especially to the thousands of young minds that will come to know him as the years move on, not so much because they were physically present here with him, but because through the many deeds and efforts which he made on their behalf, they will seek out and learn of him. Bless the efforts of this organization as it attempts to honor and pay tribute to the many who have given of themselves unstintingly for the cause of brotherhood and human concerns. We ask in the name of thy Son. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Stevens, and thank you, members of the Quitman School Color Guard. We shall now have a word of welcome from Mr. Rocco Miserel, Vice President of the Schoolmen's Club. Mr. Miserel.
This is indeed a rare occasion for the Schoolmen's Club of Newark. We have come to Quitman School with your help, your cooperation, to dedicate a plaque in honor of Tim Still. We have done this as far back as 1911, and Tim Still follows a parade of very illustrious men with, as of 1911, Robert Treat, John Cotton Dana, Marcus Ward, the Aaron Burr family, and as late as 1968, we commemorated the first black principal who was appointed as far back as 1860. Today, we write another chapter in the history of Newark with a dedication of a plaque of Dr. Tim Still. This brings our writing of history of Newark up to date. We are dedicating today's commemoration with your help, with your pennies, with your singing, with your presence here, to a man who has been outstanding in the city of Newark. Tim Still is a symbol of pride, is a symbol of greatness, and we are very happy to commemorate this incident, this event to Tim Still. It's as though we were writing the history of Newark with tablets, and the chapter occupied by Dr. Tim Still will be commemorated in metal, which will be installed in your corridor at the entrance of Quitman Street School. This will serve to be a memorial to a great man who has done a great service to the city of Newark. It is with pride in Newark, pride in its people, and a dignity in its people that we commemorate this tablet in honor of Dr. Tim Still. It is a privilege for me as president of the Schoolmen's Club to be part of this ceremony, to share this great event with you. We're very happy indeed, and we do this cooperatively with a great feeling of dignity and pride. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Miserel. The Schoolmen's Club is an organization of male teachers and other professional employees of the Newark Board of Education. The tablets it has erected are financed in part by contributions from the pupils of the Newark Public Schools. Therefore, it is only fitting that on this occasion we hear from a representative of the Newark Board of Education and the Office of the Superintendent. Here speaking on behalf of the Superintendent is the Deputy Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Edward Pfeffer. Dr. Pfeffer.
Thank you, Mr. Levinson. Mrs. Still, members of the clergy, members of the council, excuse me, members of the educational hierarchy, parents, and students of Quitman Street School. Speaking for the superintendent of schools, Mr. Franklin Titus, and myself personally, we are honored to be here today at this occasion when the Schoolmen's Club is dedicating a plaque in the memory of Dr. Still. I knew Dr. Still personally. We met frequently on many problems, some personal to him, and others personal to him in the respect that it had to do with the family of the City of Newark. And knowing Timothy Still so very well, I have many memories associated with him. If you knew him, you knew he was a big man. Big when you think of physically being tall. He was big when you think of spiritually having visions of a better world. And big in the fact that here was a man who just did not think about things that ought to be done, but spent his time and his energy in seeing to it that these visions that he had, these ideas of a better world and a better city of Newark should come true. He was very, very much interested in young people. He was very, very much interested in boys and girls in the Newark school system. And we used to talk about that too, and how we could have a better educational program and what could be done for the boys and girls in the city of Newark. He was particularly interested in those young people that came from the area that he knew so well. You see, he was what you would call a man who came from the grassroots of the people. He lived humbly. And he knew from personal experience, and he never got away from it because he still lived in the same area, in this close-by area, the problems of his people. I know that the Schoolmen's Club has put up plaques for many, many great people who lived and worked in the city of Newark, honoring them for their accomplishments and their achievements. I don't think, when I look back at the names which you have on the back of your program, and you can concur with me or disagree if you like, but I don't think there's any name listed on the back of this program to whom Dr. Tim Still would have to take a back seat to. He was foremost in what we expect of a citizen and of what is good in mankind. We are pleased that the boys and girls of the city of Newark, in their way, each of them can in some way participate. They may not be here this afternoon to see the dedication of the tablet or hear it, but they know that they may have made a contribution and participate in erecting this tablet. The superintendent and his staff are extremely pleased that the Schoolmen's Club decided to honor the memory of Dr. Timothy Still.
Thank you, Dr. Pfeffer. We shall now have a vocal tribute to Dr. Still in the form of two songs sung by the 4th and 5th grade pupils of Quitman Street School, led and accompanied on guitar by Miss Eileen Meckler. The songs, which express something of Timothy Still's aspirations and vision, are High Hopes and If I Had a Hammer.
Thank you.
Thank you, boys and girls, and thank you, Miss Mecklin. Among the individuals honored by the Schoolmen's Club through the years, Timothy Still occupies a unique place, for his outstanding work was concentrated almost entirely upon the people and problems of our city. We shall now hear from someone who was in a position to know full well what Timothy meant to the city of Newark, our Deputy Mayor, Lewis Perkins, Jr. Mr. Perkins.
Thank you very much. Students, teachers, Board of Education officials, city officials, it's indeed a pleasure to be here on this wonderful occasion. It's very easy for me to talk about Timothy Still because Timmy had a great effect upon my life. As I was a youngster coming up, he did many things to guide me in the right direction. I remember so well Timmy coming over to see me when I formerly worked for the Kruger's Brewery, right up the hill. And his only desire and his only ambition was to do something for the children. He would work, but he always found time to offer himself as a community leader and as a guiding light to our young people. When I first had the honor of being the first deputy mayor of my race, I think the first phone call I got was from Tim, giving me words of advice and encouragement. He really occupies a dear place in my heart, and I'm very happy that the Schoolmen's Club found it in their heart to honor this great Newarker and this great American. We from the city of Newark miss him dearly. He was with us on many of the problems we had in the city. One of the first men we would get a hold of would be Tim Still. He was indeed a giant. His heart was as big as his body, and I'm very happy to say he was a dear friend of mine, and I'm sure a dear friend of everybody in the city of Newark. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. As our principal speaker, we have another person who is well qualified to testify to the measure of the man we are honoring today. He worked with Dr. Still in the United Community Corporation and is today his successor in the top position of leadership in that organization. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is my honor to present to you the President of the UCC, the Reverend Levin West. Reverend West.
I'm very happy to announce to the public that we had our scholarship fund meeting yesterday, of which I am the chairman. I'm very happy to announce that we voted to give a $500 scholarship to the late Dr. Timothy Still's daughter to enable her to finish her education at Howard University, which is one of my former alma maters. May God bless her. The President of the Schoolmen's Club, Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, friends, family of Dr. Timothy Still, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This ceremony, in so many ways, is symbolic of all the late Dr. Timothy Still fought for through so much of his life. I feel privileged to be here on two counts. One, because I was chosen to follow in his giant footsteps. And second, to participate in this program, which commemorates the dedication of a man to his neighbors. Because in essence, Timothy Still, who lived but a mere stone throw from where we are now gathered, lived so much of his life for others.
Dr. Still was a man who strove most of his life for excellence, who rose from the humblest beginnings to become first a champion in the sports world, and then to become a champion in behalf of people he knew and loved so well. His work in the UCC, the United Community Corporation, laid a firm groundwork for many of the programmatic successes we enjoy today, and for the firm position of that great agency, in whose behalf he toiled night and day. When Dr. Still received the great tribute in recognition of his service to his fellow man, the title of the Doctor of Humanities was conferred upon him by the president of our state university. It was no accident that he shared the platform with no less a person than the Honorable Mr. Youthont, the Secretary General of the United Nations Organization, and with then the Secretary of Agriculture, the Honorable Stuart Uthall. To Dr. Timothy Still, all the honors that came to him, all the influence that he commanded, meant only one thing. And he used to say it in this way: I can do a little more now to help my people. And he usually found a way to do just that. If he were here with us today, he might put it this way: I could hope that this tablet will be affixed to a new and bigger school for our children. And you honor me, and I am grateful for that, and feel deeply gratified. But I will now dedicate myself to the task of building on this foundation until we have built a school worthy of the hope in the children who come here every day to learn. And since our beloved Tim is no longer amongst us, I have said it for him. Thank you, and may God bless all of you.
Thank you, Reverend West. As the climax of our program, we shall have the unveiling of the tablet and the reading of the inscription which appears on it. The tablet will be unveiled by Mrs. Carrie Still, Dr. Still's mother, and Mrs. Naomi Still, his wife. The inscription will be read by Mr. Mays O'Ryan, a member of the Schoolmen's Club and a boyhood friend of Tim Still. The tablet will be permanently erected in the lobby of Quitman Street School. This place was selected because it is in the central part of the city where Dr. Still lived and worked for most of his life, and because it replaces the old Monmouth Street School which he attended. Mr. Ryan?
Before we unveil the tablet, I know most of you would like to know what Dr. Still looked like. Look at the mayor's deputy. That's the way he looked. The only difference is his name is Lou Perkins, and his name was Timothy Still. I will now read to you what's on the tablet. Dedication of a tablet in honor of Timothy Still, 1920 to 1968, beacon for a better Newark. With that rare ability to bring together men and women of divergent backgrounds to work towards the solution of the problems of poverty, prejudice, and domestic discord, Timothy Still was one of the great stabilizing forces that held the city of Newark together in a time of crisis. With compassion, with wisdom, with personal courage, he labored mightily to bring respect and dignity, peace and harmony, justice and freedom to all citizens of Newark. While consorting with the learned and the eminent, he ever preserved his vital contact with the most humble members of the community, whose problems and sorrows he knew so well. Director of the Dukers A.C., Chairman of the Fuld Neighborhood House, Chairman of the Urban League, and President of the United Community Corporation, he was awarded the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters by Rutgers University in recognition of his outstanding services to the City of Newark and the State of New Jersey. Stricken at the height of his influence and public esteem, he was a shining example to light the way to a better Newark.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Our program concludes with some remarks from our gracious and most cooperative host, Mr. John Moses, principal of Quitman Street School, who will also introduce to us Mr. Lucius Tompkins, president of the Quitman School PTA. Mr. Moses.
It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be here at this unveiling. I was listed to give the concluding remarks. However, I deem it much more appropriate that a man who knew Dr. Still, a man who worked with Dr. Still, make these concluding remarks. I would like to turn this honor over to Mr. Lucius Tompkins, the Quitman Street School PTA President. Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Moses, ladies and gentlemen, and children, this is indeed an honor that I should have the privilege of making some concluding remarks about our honoree who is being dedicated here this afternoon in the person of Dr. Timothy Still. I know Tim, and I prefer to use the word Tim, because we were associated together in sports and in our civic life. We served for some years on the Newark Municipal Sanitation Commission, and we were associated together in the sports world. Tim, as you know, was a former pugilist, and I myself many years ago was a professional boxer, and we got to know each other. 2 or 3 things I want to say about this man whom we are honoring here this afternoon. His life was one of continuous involvement in community life, and I think he reached the height of his career when he served as a president of the United Community Corporation at a time when the struggles of the people needed leadership most. He stepped in to lead that organization to its height. And I have the greatest honor and esteem for a man who gives of himself to make his community a better place in which to live. And I want to say to our children here this afternoon that the accomplishments of Tim Still, Dr. Still, is one that you could very easily emulate. But you must make up your mind now that you can become an outstanding American and a great American citizen. And how can you best do it? It's by first getting a good education and applying that education to a problem, to making your life useful in the community in which you live. And so I want to conclude my remarks by saying that the committee, the Schoolmen's Club of Newark, could not have made a better selection than in deciding that they would honor the memory of the late Dr. Tim Still. And I, as a friend of his, would like to say to his mother and his friends that I, too, join with you in the commemoration of a great leader. His life was simple and yet useful. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Mr. Tompkins. You have been listening to the dedication of a tablet in honor of Dr. Timothy Still by the Schoolmen's Club of Newark. This special program came to you live from Quitman Street School, Newark, New Jersey. We wish to thank Mr. Thomas B. Gabrielson for his assistance. Your announcer, Walter L. Santner. This is WBGO, Newark.